Hey guys, MrPokke here, back with another video. And first of all, I'm still in my vacation mode in the land of Black Myth Wukong. So yep, it is what it is. I'll be finishing up real soon. But today is not about Black Myth. Today is actually a fresh new gacha content featuring Powercreep in Honkai Starbucks, featured by a lovely content creator, EOD Gamer, which is also a fellow Sinky. Absolutely insane. So without further ado, let's get into today's content. Subscribe! Alrighty, let's just see what we have.
Hey guys, it's me, EOD Gamer here, and let's talk about Powercreep in Honkai Star Rail. It's been very long, almost 6 months since we last did this kind of video, and let's talk about what has changed since then and what is going to happen in the future as well. Now, first things first.
Wait, before you even continue, I just want to say this is a ridiculous amount of effort to talk about Honkai Starbucks Powercreep. There's like early days, first baton pass, meta shift, current day, next phase. With all these units, it's kind of crazy. I can kind of summarize, me personally anyways. If I want to just kind of summarize the whole Powercreeping Honkai Starbucks. Number one, yes, there is Powercreep in Honkai Starbucks, and you are a fool to believe that there is no Powercreep. There is 100% Powercreep in Honkai Starbucks. No questions asked. And number two, mainly it kind of revolves not so much the unit themselves, but the team comps, right? So it's not just Firefly is broken. It's because Firefly, Runmei, and Harmony, Trailblazer, and Gallagher, this team is broken. It's not like Topaz is broken. It's Topaz with Robin, Aventurine, and Dr. Ratio / Master. A team comp is what makes the Power Creep happen, right? So that's the first things first. Secondly, me personally, I think it also kind of depends on the way MiHoYo wants to go about their end game, their shaping of the end game. So right now you can see in Apocalypse Shadows, it's very heavily weighted towards super break, or like breaking the enemies in general. For Memory of Chaos, even in the first half in MOC 12, right, the enemies with the shared health pool is perfect for Firefly, or even units like Aircron, right? So it quite literally depends on what endgame content we're going to be getting to determine the shape of how strong or how weak this team comp is going to be. All right, so that's my opinion. If you can only pull for 2 units right now, insane. Right, okay, anyways, let's see what we have.
The best part about having a game with a very long history already is where we get to do some analysis on what has happened. We can actual statistics and data to show what went up and then what came down after that. So let's talk about it. In the early days, for those of you, let's travel back in time right now. In the early days, we had a meta of Zilla, Jingyuan. These were the 2 characters that pretty much dominated the entire meta. And slowly after,
for Scylla, yes. For Jingyuan, I would say he dominated the meta for 1 patch. Because there was this one MOC buff where all Hunt and Erudition units at the start of every wave, you get 100% extra value advance. That made Jingyuan look exceedingly strong, because you are pretty much guaranteed 10 stacks Lightning Lord every single time. After that patch went away, I wouldn't exactly use the word dominate. Alright, okay. Anyways,
after some period of time, we actually had a bit of baton pass to move over to the next 2 DPSs. Walk down memory lane here for some of us who started very early on in the game and have been following the channel since as well. We have been doing this for a pretty long time too. So Invited Lune, Jing Liu were then the next 2 characters that came into flavor, and slowly as the game go on, we had meta shifts, broad things that changed. We went from a hyper carry style in the early days of Honkai Star Rail, moving on to a little bit more of a little bit meta shift, and also because we got free characters like Dr. Ratio, people started to move more in a follow-up team compositions, as well as a bit of DOT, since Black Swan was the first main DPS DOT other than Kafka to be released in the game. And moving.
Okay, wait, pause. I think at this point, specifically at this point, follow-up team comp, it was still pretty shit. They only performed well for this one rotation in Mock featuring the memory zone, where they had both fire and imaginary weakness. So Ratio and Topaz, they could both inflict toughness bar damage, and you could kill it very quickly. But aside from this one boss, follow-up team comp sucks ass, because they were either off element for Topaz or Ratio. You were never on element on the same time, because there was no enemies, if I'm not mistaken, that had both imaginary and fire weakness up until Robin came in. When Robin came in, that's when, oh my god, Fallout really popped off. Because even if you were off element, you still did ridiculous amount of additional damage, right? So that's it. At this point, I would say DOT was strictly stronger than Fallout team comps. Especially, I believe that at this... Wait, Rami already came out, right, chat? Before Black Swan. Yeah? Okay, yeah. Rame, Black Swan, Kafka, Huan, diabolical team. So DOT was strictly strong in follow-up, right? Cool.
Moving on, of course, now this is the current game state in terms of...
I love how Blood... Booty was just... Booty was an excellent unit. Okay,
like the fancier characters. Notice here I just put in like the DPS characters because this is very obvious like to see how the meta changes. But of course there are other big characters that are super important. We'll touch on in a bit. I just wanted to give like an overall arcing overview because DPS characters are like the ones that are very obvious to see what changed from okay to good to not that okay. And this is pretty much the game state that we are in now with Boot Hill, Break. Boot Hill is like representative for overall Break teams. You have your Acheron teams, you have your Firefly teams. These are kind of like the very, very popular characters right now. And the next phase.
I think like a better representation would just like, first of all, throw these two away. Second of all, slap on Harmony, Trailblazer, and Rame, and then into one team. They just call it Super Break. It is not exactly Boot Hill /5. It's more like Harmony MC, right? Actually, now that I think about it, it's like the entire team. The entire team just works so well. HMC, Rame, Gallagher. Imagine having a sustain that does 200,000 break damage. Super break damage. Diabolical. So yeah, both Boot Hill and Firefly, they're both pretty good, but you really wanna run this archetype. Boot Hill may be a little bit more flexible. He doesn't necessarily need HMC. You can still run him with Bronya. In fact, I believe that Boot Hill 0 cycles are mostly done with Bronya because his motherfucker is just so fucking slow. So he doesn't really need Harmony MC that much. But Rame and Gallagher is pretty much almost non-negotiable. I am quite surprised there isn't a mention of follow-up here. I think follow-up deserves to be head-to-head with Acheron and Super Break. Follow-up team right now with Robert is exceedingly strong and very fun to play and very comfy. So me personally, if there's gonna be 3, it's gonna be follow-up, Acheron, and Super Break. And kind of just run these two together. So, yeah.
And that's what this video aims to do. We not only want to like talk about power creep in terms of who's going to be the next phase, but the main objective of this video is really to tell us what characters tend to outperform, even though ups and downs of like the meta shifts and stuff, and what characters just struggle throughout and etc. Next phase, of course, that's why we're doing this video right now, is I think that we are in for a little bit of a shift in terms of the meta changes maybe, and also new very strong DPSs coming out. Fei Xiao is one of them that could be very strong. We of course don't have live information right now. I'll touch on more of it once the live stream comes out, which is probably in a couple of days as the time of recording this video. If it's already out, you're watching this sometime in the future, you can check the channel out for more information, official information. We don't really like discuss leaks on this channel. So, next part over here, and there are 4 inevitable truths to power creep. What are the 4 things that are going to happen? No one, I guess no one can actually dispute this. The first one is you will have new enemies.
Oh,
in
absolutely.
Honkai Star Rail, a game that has been out for like 1 year plus, we are still going to have new enemies coming out, be it whether monsters that are like specific elements need to break them, or you need like specific targeting their shield, they have protection, they have damage reflect, they have cleanse, they have super high effect resistance. All of these things definitely will come in the game. The game will not be at a stale state where everything is the same. We are probably in the easier part of the game, and it will just get more and more difficult. Natural progression of games in general.
Like theoretically speaking, because right now we have like enemies who are kind of tied towards like winners breaking, right? I think for the past 1 or 2 patches, it has mostly been tied to winners breaking, like the toughness bar, and you really need to break the toughness. In the future, if we were to see more enemies, like theoretically speaking, if the enemies were to not just be tied to winners break, but let's just say they become faster. Let's just say they have like a, I don't know, like a fucking 300 speed enemy or like some shit. How are you gonna deal with it? When the enemy, because every single time right now, theoretically speaking, we are always ahead in the enemy in terms of movement speed, right? But if the enemy reaches a point where they are literally faster, then what are we gonna do? So I really kind of want to. This is just an example, right? Just an example. I'm just cooking off the top of my head. I have no fucking idea what's going on. All the top of my head, I kind of want to see where this archetype will take us, especially towards the newer DPS generations that can come in the future. Absolutely.
The second thing that is undisputably true is that there are going to be new characters in the game. It's a gacha game, and after all, and the way that Hoyoverse monetizes Honkai Star Rail is by selling you new characters, selling you new light cones, so 2 things, and as well as maybe skins in future, the battle pass resources.
Make it happen, by the way. Yo, Hoyoverse. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Make skins happen. There's no reason why it shouldn't happen. It's free money. It's quite literally free money. Make it happen.
All of those things, other stuff. It's just the monetization model.
Summer Kafka. Summer Firefly. And there it is.
Model of gacha games.
You're welcome.
And new characters will be added into the game. So these are all things that affect power creep in general and pushing it into the trend of why power creep will happen in gacha games. The third factor here is we will have, I put new /rotational game modes because
Okay, I think this might be a bit hard. I can't imagine having like new endgame content like every other pet. That would be kind of crazy. Because now is already like, I feel like now it's like a pretty okay spot. 6 weeks for one, so basically every 2 weeks you get a new thing. Can you imagine every other patch you get new endgame, new endgame, new endgame, new endgame? I mean, it sounds fun, but like, I feel like there has to be a point where it stops, right? Hopeful though, I'll remain hopeful.
I don't know at this stage, 1 year plus into the game, whether they're going to be introducing more game modes. Because we already have like 3, right? We have Apocalyptic Shadow, we have Pure Fiction, and we have the Memory of Chaos. So I would think that they are planning to go on a rotational basis between these 3 game modes, or perhaps, I don't know, maybe they might have a 4th game mode, a 5th game mode in future to add on to like Simulated Universe and blah blah blah.
I think instead of adding new endgame modes, I feel like they could just improve on the existing endgame modes. So for example, Pure Vision is 4 stages, right? Make it 6 or make it 10. Same thing for Apocalyptic Shadows, same thing on MOC, and just like make it more. And then you add on the features to kind of, because if you keep adding endgame mode, you are like indirectly forcing, not really forcing, but like you're kind of making new team comps, right? Like different units will excel in different endgame mode. Like for example, Jade is completely dog shit. Okay, not completely dog shit, but like she performs really well in Pure Vision, but not that great in like MOC. Then same thing for, you could say, for like single target units. Like Boot Hill doesn't really do well in Pure Vision, or like Scylla, you really want mobs. So like if you introduce a lot of endgame modes, where do you draw the line between like horizontal versus vertical investment? You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Blah. So you could see some variety. I just put it here. This is all
3-team MOC.
So an undisputed truth is either going to rotate, change, or new things are going to happen. And the 4th thing, which I want to expand a little bit on, is new styles. There are going to be new styles in the game, be it whether you're talking about path, whether you are having more hunt characters. I don't mean new paths, don't get confused by this. I just mean expansion in terms of hunt, expansion in terms of erudition, expansion in terms of preservation, abundance. We can see that quite obviously with like nihility characters expanding into like debuff, DOT. Some of them might even become a healer somewhat in the future, and etc, etc. Even harmony characters being like DPSs in nature. You have also elemental expansion, where you have hunt characters of all different elements coming out. They will expand broader on that. But the more important thing that we actually done a lot of analysis on this channel is actually team composition styles. And let's go on to the next part here, which is styles of teams.
I just want to say, this reminds me of like a universal/college like presentation. You know, like you're presenting a project work in front of your professor with like a class of 40, and then you're just like delivering your points. Good morning, Prof. Class. Today we are going to be going through the statistical analysis as to why Robin is better than Rame, right? And without further ado, I'm just going to be passing on to my next team. It's very, very random.
For those of you who have followed the channel for a while now, there are 8 main styles in Honkai Star Rail. Don't worry if you haven't.
Holy shit, wait, pause. Hyper Carry, DOT, follow-up break, skill points, debuff, HP decay, fast. I've never heard of these 4 styles in my entire life. The fuck is skill points? I've never heard of these 4 in my entire, but let's see.
I haven't seen the video that search it out on YouTube.
Qingque, so the dog shit style. Okay, I get it.
Yep. It will be probably ranked for one of the top few. In terms of, you just search this up on YouTube search bar. There are 8 main teams, for those of you who have no idea. And the idea here is Honkai Star Rail tends to rotate the new characters in one of these 8 teams. If you're not talking about paths and element changes, most characters in the game that are released, and by most I mean so far as 100%, will fit into one of these 8 styles, and that's how they like differentiate from each other. I put here a very simple example. You can have Mark 7 Hunt, which mainly plays into follow-up teams, break teams, fast and often moving teams, hyper carry. But this is where I think that they are planning to continue to go, expansion on the 8 teams. Right now, follow-up attacking in terms of the counter style for like Unity's kind of style is not very, very popular. Whereas like, for example, the traditional follow-up like Topaz, Nambi, Doctor ratio is already quite established, and fast and often is something that they might want to move in towards.
I think it's mainly just because like, okay, I don't want to say this as like a comparison, but like, you know Zenless Zone Zero? The disputed node, where it is no longer tied to your quote-unquote cycles. It is not tied to your duration, it is tied to how many times you die, right? In Honkai Starbucks, there has yet to be a single game mode where it focuses on like survivability. All endgame content in Honkai Starbucks is always depending on your clear speed. It's always on how fast you clear. For MOC, for APOC, it is always how fast you clear. And unfortunately for units like Unity or even like Blade, where like they have a sort of like a bruiser, they're like a Darius, like top laner, they don't really care about this kind of survivability that much. So unfortunately, they don't have a content where they shine. Unless they introduce like a new endgame which don't care about your clear speed, but based on like just how long you can survive. So a thing that could happen is like, theoretically speaking, an infinite floor. Where you just wanna, make sure that you can survive and last as long as you can, and the enemies deal increasing damage to you.
In the future HP decay teams as well. For more information, if you want more theory on what is this 8 teams, we'll talk about it in this specific video. But for this video, I want to mainly talk about Power Creep, because that's why we are here for. Now that we have understood while we laid the grounds, we understand what is the things that are going to happen to Honkai Star Rail and how it specifically applies to this game. Let's talk about 4 things that makes characters built to last. Right. And if you're finding value in this video so far, you like the way we are presenting different formats compared to maybe other creators out there, do give us a like, comment, and subscribe as well. We like to do these kind of things which are for the long run to help our accounts become more efficient. First thing, characters that are built to last. Non-DPS, okay, this is just an overall general view, but if you ask most people on the street, they will tell you DPS characters not that good to invest in at long run because very easy to power creep. Support characters.
野打的辅助，流水的主系 and there it is, right? DPS are temporary, supports are forever, absolutely.
On the other hand, very good because they go the long way, harder to power creep. But I will show you in this video in a little bit that that's not always true, not always the case. Yes, most DPSs tend to get power creep easier, but not all supports are 100% everlasting. We'll touch on that in a bit too. First thing, characters are built to last. Generally, they are non-damage dealers in general. Why is that the case? Some of you might be wondering. It's easier to sell a damage dealer that deals 1 million damage than sell a support that protects you for 1 million damage. I don't know why, it's just how we work as human beings. We just want to see big PP numbers, more damage.
Oh, absolutely.
It is what it is, but if it sells, that's what the company...
I want to kind of bring up this one point, non-DPS. I think I mentioned it a couple of times. I personally think E0 Robin does everything that E0 Sparkle can do, but better. Feel free to disagree, but that's my personal take. So, between Sparkle and Robin, if you can only pick one, I legitimately would just pick Robin over Sparkle. Like straight up. Even for hyper carry, she does it. You know why? Because there's this beautiful thing called Quid Pro Quo Gallagher. It completely solves Robin's energy problem, and you can legit have this ultimate uptime even while not being a full optical. Absolutely diabolical. But yeah,
will likely push out more. Versatile characters are also characters that are built to last.
And Robin can sing. Yeah, absolutely right.
About the 8 different teams already. Characters that can be played not only to the 8 different teams, but even their kit can be done doing a lot of different things. For example, they are buffers, they are debuffers, they are healers, all in one, damage protection, damage mitigation, blah blah blah.
So basically Gallagher. The only the sustain that is like free that can do all this is Gallagher. Build your Gallagher, build your Gallagher, build your fucking Gallagher, guys. I don't care if you don't care that he's a 4-star, build your fucking Gallagher. Here is him, right? Here is him. Run Gallagher for president. And
those are kind of characters that are more versatile than others. Niche characters tend to be not as viable in the long run. Of course, there are exceptions. This is just broad blanket rules to the case. Broad styles, again, the 8. This is focusing mainly on the 8 teams. If you can play with many of the 8 teams, you are likely more built to last. A character like that would probably be a character like Runmei. You can be played into many different styles in different 8 teams and probably be like top 1 or top 2 in those slots as well. That's what makes a character built to last for the long run. And last but not least, rare. You can't be in a crowded space where everyone is like all very good. There are so many competition in that area. If you are one of the rare characters, or these characters particularly rare, you probably will last a little bit longer than a lot of your other counterparts who are like super common, and there's like a lot of alternatives in the game too.
Opportunity cost.
So now, I put this out here, don't need to cover and go by one by one. Characters have stood the test of time. The advantage of Honkai Star Rail being out for a year plus is we actually can look back in the past and see what characters, and for those of you who don't have like statistics at the back of your mind and you've been playing for day one, just get a gut feel. These 4 characters you see on screen are characters that are still used today, and they have been released for a super long time. Maybe not Huo to a large extent because she was a little bit more recent, but characters like Fu Xuan, Hela, who has been released at 1.0, and Kafka as well, which was like in 1.2. Fu Xuan is like 1.
Kafka is seriously debatable. Like, I feel like if you don't run dot, or even if you run dot, I think Kafka is seriously debatable. I legitimately don't remember the last time I ran dot, and I have an E2 Kafka. So.
3 very early characters that are still relevant today and are still being played today shows you that you can actually make smart decisions.
Oh wait, dot cron. Yeah, you're right.
About characters that last a really long period of time. Of course, granted, I wouldn't say that these characters were just total iron characters that are like very, very strong iron bow characters that don't break over time. Some of them maybe got a little bit lucky, like maybe debuff oriented, DOT oriented, a lot of benefits that happen along the way to them. But at the end of the day, they played into thematics and they succeeded. Our objective in this channel, in this video here, is to plan for the future. What can we actually predict and what styles are very important to do? First thing, of course, I just want to do a little...
Before I even continue, DOT found dead in the ditch, guys, and there it is. I have no idea how are they gonna make DOT great again. I think for the past 3 patches, it has always been follow-up and super break. For 3 consecutive patches. I have yet to see a single patch where they gave DOT some food. Like ever since Black Swan happened, and then that was it. Jiao Qiu does not make DOT great again. Unless you get an E2 Jiao Qiu. E2 S1 Jiao Qiu. Then there's a different story, right? But we'll see.
Little bit of a humble brag here, but all these characters were characters that we actually pointed out. So Fu Xuan 1 year ago here, I mentioned she was ridiculously overpowered. We like to give solid advice on the channel, and I don't do this like for every single character. I don't say like every single character is overpowered. I only have said Fu Xuan so far, and she's one of the characters that really have withstood the test of time. If you want to know why, I'm not going to talk about it in this video. This is not a selling Fu Xuan video. She's not even on the banner. But if you're interested in my thoughts on specific characters, you can check the videos
Can I get a waifu?
This video was done all the way back in like when Honkai Star Rail first came out, 5 must-build units in Honkai Star Rail. Hela was one of them in where I mentioned in the video too. So these are all pretty solid recommendations. And of course, Kafka here, we had our previous one, Resistant to Powercreep video, which we did like a year ago. This is of course an updated format. Kafka was one of them, and she indeed stood the test of time for at least a year duration. Ho Ho is also another solid character. But I'm not just talking about characters who have withstood the test of time. Looking back in the past is nice, but more importantly, we also want to see in the past what units fell off and let...
Oh no! The units fell off. Oh no. It's wild that bro put in Scylla and Jingliu and bro did not put in Jingyuan. That is crazy. Respectfully. But let's
explain why. So DPS characters like Zila, at one point she was like the flavor of the month. When 1.0 game first came out, she's super successful, and then suddenly she like fell off. Same as Jingliu, she was...
Okay, you know what? My opinion are gonna be biased, so I'm not gonna say anything. Me personally, I still think Scylla is still very, very good. And I have an E0 S1 Scylla. I still think she's really, really good. But I know a lot of people on the internet disagree. A lot of people think Scylla sucks ass because nowadays the mobs are going to get stronger and stronger. You can't even trigger resurgence anymore because your Scylla sucks ass. So it comes to a situation where why would you even run Scylla when you can just run Aircron or Firefly? But me personally, I think Scylla is still great. She performs in Mock, she performs in Pure Fiction, she performs in... So I'm not going to comment on this that much.
It's very popular at one stage at version 1.4, 1.5 thereabouts, and then she suddenly disappeared from the meta. Now, we can learn from past experiences because it might happen to your DPS right now that is the flavor of month. So what happened to Zila was that other characters came out who did a little bit more AoE, like Jingliu as well as Imbibitor Lune. They tackled much more content rather than just focus on a single boss. There also are different elements, so the element changed. And Hun characters just generally fell apart because a lot of more monsters were like, you need to hit across the board rather than like individual you and me, like one target kind of thing. So then...
Unless a Scylla can one-shot them. Run her with Robin.
Now, it's one of the things that affect Zila, but with Fei Xiao coming in, it could change here and there. These are, of course, we're just talking about what caused that like down curve rather than just looking at a stable graph, because we will learn more from the ups and downs rather than just a horizontal curve. Jingliu, of course, is another character that fell out of meta. She is not a lousy character. Even till today, I think she's very strong. What caused the difference between Jingliu is probably because Ice is not as meta anymore. If you look at the other characters in the game, if we go back to our Ice meta, we don't have much choice. There aren't any characters that are very solid Ice DPS. It's just that we haven't had a criteria where everyone is weak to ice. We don't have the deer in the Memory of Chaos anymore, or like much less, and a lot of the enemies are not as weak to ice as they are. Everything seems to be like lightning, imaginary, and recently like physical and fire a little bit more when they're trying to sell Firefly and boot heal and stuff like that. So DPS characters, but do you remember what we said, like non-DPS characters can also fall off, and these are...
Is there even another ice DPS that is like Jingliu's level? No, right? There is no other ice DPS, right? Yanqing! And there it is. I don't think we have, right? Okay, so Jingliu is like quote-unquote our only ice DPS. Okay. Yeah, again, this is not really Jingliu's fault. It's just that MiHoYo doesn't want to release ice weak units. Then you can't really do anything about it, right? So it is
two characters that were affected by the drop as well. Bronya as well as Tingyun. If you rewind before Ranmei came about,
I heavily disagree with Bronya, by the way. I think Bronya actually is chilling, especially when she performed pretty fucking well with Blue Hill. I think Bronya is really good. Yeah.
Before Sparkle, before Runmei, before Robin came about, the two characters that everyone was echoing, everyone was chanting out loud that is like the best characters in the game were Bronya as well as Tingyun. Now 4-star characters, generally you can understand why they fall off, and limited 5 stars generally are expected to fall off, but they were relevant for a super long period of time. New characters came about, and the reason why they fell off is because Runmei was just more universal than Bronya. She offered a lot more. Sparkle offered somewhat of a similar push to Bronya, as well as a lot of skill points which helped Environmental Lune teams. And of course Robin is great for follow-up attacking, so they play into new styles. And then these two characters kind of disappeared from the meta. I mean, of course, if you do not have the signature, like the 5 stars, you probably are using Tingyun, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just talking about a broader picture. This is what happened for us to understand and how it might apply to our favorite characters right now, moving forward, or the characters that you are planning to pull.
Okay, wait, pause. I want to talk about this a little bit. I don't really agree with this. I think Bronya performed even better, especially with Robin. Specifically when you want to pair up Robin with Sparkle. There's this problem where if you run Robin with Sparkle, Sparkle's 50% extra value advance. It doesn't push your DPS towards the next turn, right? But Bronya Robin works because this is 100% extra value advance. So that is one thing. Second thing, Ying Yun specifically, I think she's not that bad in a sense where she didn't fail because she sucks and all these other units are better. It's just that the teams that are coming out don't care about single target supports that much. But if you want to use, for example, use Yun Li, right? He still works very well with Yun Li because she cares about the energy. It's just the Aircron, Firefly, Booty Chicks, they all don't care about Tingyun's buffs. But if in the future we release back to the good old DPS units where they care about hyper carry support again, I think Tingyun can always just go back on. It's just a little bit more dependent towards the teams and the DPS that are coming out. So I wouldn't necessarily say they fell off. It's just that it's a little bit like a change of seasons. You know, it's like spring, summer, autumn, winter. Eventually, spring is gonna come back. I hope that they bring back hyper carry again. But yeah, that's kind of where I stand. And Robin needs to be talked about a little bit more. I really hope that this unit here, this Robin here, people remove this notion that she's only good for follow-up units. I think Robin is exceedingly strong. Not just for follow-up. You can legitimately run her with almost everything, and she works well with almost every single end content. The more people need to be aware of how good this bitch is. So yeah. Also, she sings. She's the only unit that sings, right? So meta perspective, fun perspective, she's just a great unit. So yep.
So looking at the past is nice, but now let's talk about some characters that are positioned for the future, because that's what this video is aiming to do. Not only do I want to give you my top 5, but I also want to tell you you want to know what broadly characters that will do well so that you can invest in a longer period of time. I will also give you a DPS character that I think is very good as a side bonus. I don't think all DPS characters will get Powercreep equally in time. One of the characters that I think is, let's start from the first and easiest category, is the sustain characters. I think the 4 of these, I wanted to say Trinity, but I don't know, what is the 4 version of a Trinity? A quantity? I have no idea, man. But Fu Xuan, Aventurine, Luo Ca, and Ho Ho. Some might argue Luo Ca is the weakest out of all of them, but he was also the earliest character to be released out of all of them. He was even released in CBT 1. Was it 1 or 2? Way back in 2021, 2022. His kit has been around for a long period of time. The fact that you can still play him today and he's not totally irrelevant. In fact, he became slightly more relevant with characters like Yun Li and tied together with characters like Blade. We might see a resurgence in Luo Ca, especially if we get more of the game modes moving towards follow-up attacking counter style, because that's where he excels in out of the rest of the bunch. But defensive characters, Fu Xuan, Aventurine, Ho Ho, Luo Ca, very hard to go wrong between each of them. I think they're all very solid. If you want to know my thoughts on differences between each of them, I have explained it many times on the channel. Just search Fu Xuan versus Aventurine, Fu Xuan versus Ho Ho. We talked about all their differences already. I won't go in depth, but just rest assured, pick a defensive character, you're pretty much safe, good to go. And of course, new characters like Lingsha likely will fall in the same bracket because she's of course an abundance. As of time of recording, I do not have official information. I can't elaborate more, but as long as the character is not too niche, good enough to fit into most teams, maybe like a Gallagher
Not gonna
5
lie, Blood Talk, I would like Financial Guru XDD.
star. I think these are characters that are pretty solid. You can make do with a 5-star abundance, a 5-star preservation, quite well moving into the future. But for the sake of not getting struck by a Hoyoverse, I'm just going to put it aside and say I have no idea right now.
the Robin incident.
Next category, of course.
Okay, before we go on to the, I just want to say this one thing really, really quickly. Well-positioned characters for the future. I feel that if you want to talk about just clearing the game in Honkai Star Rail, because at the end of the day, as long as you clear the endgame content, like I'm talking about 3-star clears, these units don't really have that big of impact on your account. Which is why I always say, if your account already have 2 sustains and you only need 2 sustains until the day where you need a 3rd team, it's not really worth it to pull for a brand new sustain. You know what I'm saying? Because you must ask yourself, what's the purpose of pulling for a new unit? Are you trying to improve your sustain or are you trying to improve your damage? If you're trying to improve your sustain, why would you need to improve your sustain if you can already sustain your team? And then if you want to pull to increase your damage, then why would you pull for a brand new sustain when you can simply pull for a new support or a new DPS or a new item for support DPS, right? So for sustain in general, as long as you have 2 sustain your team, it don't really matter that much because they're doing their job, which is to sustain your team. Even though Luocha now, objectively speaking, he is still like the weakest of all 3. It's fine because as long as you can sustain and you can clear the 3 stars, you're good to go. If you only have, let's just say, if you only have Luocha and Fu Xuan, I don't really think you need Avenging or Huo Huo to make your team sustain better because I'm pretty damn sure these 2 units can sustain your team and you can still get a 3-star clear. That being said, I do want to talk. Galachat needs to come here right the fuck now. Bro is him. He is the only abundance unit in the entire game that can make use of Quick Pro Quo twice consecutively because he's the only in the entire game that has this 100% actually advance after you cast the ultimate. So he works extremely well with Quick Pro Quo, especially when he step on Robin. So Blood is him. She needs to come in over here. In fact, I would dare say if you have Gallagher, you probably can just skip out one of the limited sustains. He's just that good, so he can move in over here. In fact, some might even argue, is it better or worse than Lingsha? You know, theoretically speaking, let's move on to the next part.
Is the Nihility characters. Nihility characters are very similar to Harmony characters in a sense that there are 2 types of Nihilities. One is the damage dealers, second one is the supportive Nihility characters, and these 3 are the supportive Nihility characters in general. You have Jiao Qiu, which is the recent character currently on banner as time of recording. A lot of damage buffing. Offers you DOT, offers you a lot of Archeron support, so you can play into 2 styles, and also is providing that fire, burn damage, the Ashen Rose, which only other characters that can do that reliably often is like Gui Knife and Hook to like.
Unless you're getting E2, Jiao Qiu, or don't expect him to do any damage. 180% is just way too low.
Most of the extent.
But yeah.
Other than that, Kafka. Kafka is a hybrid. She's a bit of both. She's both a support that procs DOT, because she uses her skill, she immediately procs the instances. She counters the weakness of DOTs. DOT's problem, if enemy move too slow, the procs don't happen, Kafka instantly pops that DOT. So regardless of how slow the enemy moves, you will still get the DOT. That's why Kafka is very fundamental and why she lasts a very long period of time, because she helps you pop that DOT. And even if the enemy is like frozen, they are slowed, they are broken, Kafka still helps you break it, proc the DOT, which is a very, very huge fundamental issue with DOT teams without Kafka in general. Silver Wolf, she's just super solid, especially new players in the game. You don't have much characters. She helps you overcome by the elemental coverage by putting a lot of weakness into the enemy. But nowadays, you could argue that a lot of characters can do that themselves, so the relevance of Silver Wolf may not be as high as she was way back in like 1.1, 1.2, but it's still pretty high till today, and likely is going forward if you are a player who's new to the game, don't have many characters.
I'm gonna keep it about. If you are starting the game right now and you don't have Silver Wolf, you don't need Silver Wolf. First of all, you're missing one of the strongest free-to-play light cone option before the tutorial mission begins. If you don't have this light cone and you're not putting for E1 Silver Wolf, you're gonna cast your ultimate once every 4 turns. Holy fuck, that is disgusting, right? So I would seriously consider not getting Silver Wolf if you don't have event tutorial light cone. If you have it, then I think it's good. But if you don't have it at this point of the game, I really don't think she's that good. The main reason is just because number 1, she can't cast a turn 1 ultimate. And number 2, her debuffs are 1 at a time. Now, I don't know about you guys, but there hasn't been a single content where there's only a single enemy. Even Apocalypse Shadows, there's like mobs and shit, right? So I find it very difficult to justify pulling for Silver Wolf when you have like a lot of other units. And like he just mentioned, you already great point, which is we have a lot of DPS units that can legit just straight up implant weaknesses themselves. Boothill and Firefly, right? So between like all of the supports we've seen, Silver Wolf, Robin, Ramei, Jiao, she's probably one of the least priorities, especially at E0, S0. Even her S1 is really, really bad. I have no idea why does Incessant Rain have crit rate? Why? And why the hell does the invulnerability, the fucking vulnerability debuff, right? It lasts for 1 turn and it affects 1 target. Holy shit, it is one of the most dog shit signature icons in the entire game. Those the S1. It's just so bad, right? So that's on me personally.
The other three characters in the broad group category is, of course, your Harmony characters. These are like Ranmei, these are Robin, as well as Sparkle. Very solid picks that will add value to many accounts. Some might add value to more accounts than others, but they are all best in slot in some form of another. And as promised, I won't just talk about supports. It's like at this point of time, if you've played enough gacha games, you've watched our channel for a long period of time, the characters on screen here should be quite comfortable for you. What DPS characters do I think goes a little bit longer than others is characters...
Okay, wait, before I talk about the DPS, I would just remove Sparkle, straight up. If you can only pick two, right? Because I really want to reduce the poise paralysis for player. If you can only choose two supports, I would just pick Ranmei Robin. Sparkle can just kind of chill. Reason being, especially at E0, it's just Robin does, in my opinion, she does everything that Sparkle can do, but better. You know, there's this whole argument of Sparkle is super skill point positive, super skill point. It's really not that much, unless you're doing like this kind of like 0 cycles, where you can make use of the additional technique points, skill points you can gain from the first hit, right? Throughout the course of the battle, she's basically net +1. You spend 3 skill points, you +4 skill points to the ultimate. So it's not that crazy. And Robin, the additional damage is your entire team, and it's a team-wide additional turn. So pound for pound, Stellar Jade for Stellar Jade, especially when talking about versatility as well, I think Robin just does everything that Sparkle can do. At E0 to S0. E0 to S0, right? So that Ranmei is just Ranmei, you know, super break, Ranmei, Harmony, Trailblazer, Gallagher, you just get her, no questions asked, that's it, right? So me personally, I think this will be the two characters I'll go for.
For you, what DPS characters do I think goes a little bit...
if you use Senior in 2024, don't talk to me.
...longer than others is characters that apply weaknesses into enemies. 3 of such characters I think will be quite interesting to think of is Boothill, you have Akron, and you have Firefly. These are the 3 DPS characters currently in the game that have independently be able to apply weakness in the enemies. Why are these good? Is because you reduce the complexity of the things that can power creep your character by, for example, in Jing Liu's case, Ice no longer relevant, Akron can colorless break.
Okay, technically speaking, you wouldn't really want to run Akron against off element, because even though the ultimate does toughness damage, right, it doesn't have additional rest threat. So like if you're against an enemy with lightning weakness, you have an additional 20 rest, so you deal more damage. You will always deal more damage on an enemy with lightning resistance compared to an enemy without lightning resistance. You get what I'm saying? TLDR, I agree with that statement. Insane.
Ice no longer relevant, or like physical no longer relevant. Boothill slaps the physical resistance into the enemy directly. Fire no longer relevant, doesn't matter. Firefly just inputs the fire weakness on enemy. So less things the developer has to do.
Okay, we need to wrap up.
Your character.
This is like a one-off video. We need to wrap up.
How does Hoyoverse mess up your favorite character? That's the idea that you want to do when you're trying to plan for the future long term, and how I see DPS characters that last a bit longer than others, which means that they will likely be king of their category for a little bit longer until, of course, we switch to wind meta, which might be coming soon, and we switch to another meta, for example, like maybe ice or whatever not. Then those will be a totally different thing. We are more going to the horizontal movement of accounts already. So as for...
Okay, wait, I don't hate Boothill, right? I don't hate Boothill, but I just want to ask this one thing. If the entire enemy lineup is not physical weak, wouldn't that take him quite long to deal with them one by one? Or is it not a problem? Boothill mains, rise up. Is that a problem for Boothill? You always have to skill. It takes a little bit, right? Okay. Nothing personal against Boothill, but at the end of the day, there's only one Ranmei. There's only one Ranmei and one Gallagher, right? Maybe you can share Hang MC, but there's only one Ranmei. If this one Ranmei can only go with one DPS, I might just accept it. Like, respectfully, all due respect, you know, it is what it is. No hate.
Promise. Let's go on to the fun part here. This is the top 5. I know this is like the title of the video and stuff, but it's not the essence of this video. This is just my personal rating. But the concepts that we have talked about in this video goes a far longer way than just highlighting 5 characters. But if you want to know my thoughts on the top 5 characters in the game in terms of power creep right now,
if Robin is not here, I'll kill
putting my name on it and signing off, I think these are the top 5 right now.
Okay, wait, chat, let's do our top 5. Let's do our top 5. Okay, Ranmei, I think Ranmei, 100%, no question asked. So Ranmei is gonna be there. Robin, I really think Robin is super fucking good. 3 more. Okay, I don't want to talk about Gallagher because he's like a quote-unquote free unit. They can get eventually. I want to talk about only limited 5 stars. Only limited 5 stars. E0 only. I think I can slot in Aventurine. Aventurine is pretty up there. Rame, Robin, Aventurine, two more. Is it really just Firefly, Aircron? Okay, I feel like we can slot in Firefly. I feel we can slot in Firefly just because Harmony MC is free. And everyone is going to have Run Me. Because you should pull for Run Me. And everyone's category. So I will just slot in Firefly because Super Break just works exceedingly well. So I'm going to stop in Firefly. One more unit. Oh, Kafka. I think it's a bit premature because DOT setup is a little bit iffy now. Unless they give us more DOT toys, I wouldn't even invest in DOT. I would just invest in like follow-up plus Super Break. Okay, the reason why I don't want to say Aircron is because I feel like at E0, it might not be as accessible compared to like a E0 Firefly. That's why I don't really want to say E0 Aircron. Okay, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just give it to Hui. Let's give it to Hui. But I mean, to be fair, it's like it's 20% max energy, right? If in the future we get more energy stuff, okay, no, we'll give it to Hui. Okay, so Robin, Ranmei, Hui, Aventurine, Firefly. Final answer locked in.
Now that will last for the next 6 months, even as we are entering a dangerous period of changing meta perhaps with the new Xianzhou characters that are being released like Fei Xiao, Ling Sha, and blah blah blah. My top pick, I'll do a bit of explanation also. Probably Fu Xuan. Fu Xuan is still one of the favorite characters in the game.
I feel like all of the sustains, they are like more or less the same. I don't really think there's too much of a disparity. Right? If you want to keep a team alive, they're all gonna work. Fu Xuan's there. Timeless, right? Timeless unit. HP distribution, crit rate, all that kind of stuff. I think it's completely fine. Me personally, I just like Adventure and Hui a little bit more.
She just offers a lot of stuff. Why do I like Fu Xuan so much? I'll just give you a very quick summary. I know she's not a banner, so I won't elaborate too much on it. She provides damage mitigation. She provides apportionment of damage. This is a guaranteed taunt if you think about it. Doesn't matter whether your teammates get attacked, Fu Xuan absorbs all the damage. The problem with defensive characters in general and a lot of healers is you do not utilize their HP stat. Fu Xuan utilizes her entire stat bar because it's converted into damage taken for your teammates. A very chunky Aventurine, if he doesn't get attacked, the only thing that is being utilized in his stat pool is his shield. That is one of the biggest things about Fu Xuan that I think makes a huge difference. Many else like her crit buffing, her CC, ignore, and then all the other stuff that she does, her AoE and whatnot. Fu Xuan is probably one of the better characters.
I guess if you talk strictly about sustain, like only sustain, don't care about damage, don't care about bars, whatever, I think Fu Xuan should be up there. And I don't think we have an endgame content with an AoE strong enough to one-shot Fu Xuan, right? Has there been... Okay, we don't talk about Divergent Universe, but just current 3 endgame mode, I don't think there has been a single AoE that can one-shot Fu Xuan. So I think she's more or less fine. She always has that passive to kind of bring it back up.
Right? I want to elaborate more. You can check out our videos if you're interested. Since she's not on banner, I don't want to like FOMO people. The next character who's also not on banner, but I think is a very solid...
We don't even have to listen to this. Done, right? Skip. Let's just skip this. No question asked.
Have run me rather than you have no idea where to slot her in. Just super general, super versatile. In follow super meta. Maybe if we shifted that, run me's relevance to 4, but still she is quite strong regardless because you still have access to spend a little bit more.
Oh my god, Jiao Qiu! Damn, okay, okay.
I'm not a salesman. I don't get any commission from selling you characters whatsoever. I just want to help you build more efficient accounts. And if you're finding value in this video so far, you appreciate the honest content, please help me like, comment, and subscribe. Joining as a member would definitely make my day as well.
Follow the stream.
Super strong unit. He offers a lot of debuff. He's a 5-star character, which is a lot more chunkier than 4-star characters. One of the biggest things people forget is although he's tied to the relevance of Akron and DOT characters, he can be played
E0 just sucks with DOT, legit. Just run Robin or run me. It's just way better.
into both. He offers you action rolls, so a lot of fire application, a lot of DOT application, a lot of debuffing, almost 100% uptime, super simple to play. And one of the most key things is he's a 5-star with 5-star stats. The issue with Nihility teams is you generally don't want to run a tank aggro drawer, and they tend to split their damage very evenly across the board. Let's say you have a premium team like Black Swan here, together with maybe, for example, Jiao Qiu and Run Mei, for example, and your healer is like Huo Huo, who offers you a lot of team-wide buffing. In that case, you are taking damage all places, you have no aggro drawer, and if you have one weak link who's a 4-star, that person dies, you have to restart your whole account. It's very, very tough. 5-star stats actually make a huge difference, specifically in Nihility teams, and maybe to some extent Harmony 5 stars, because Tingyun is very squishy, we all know that. But no one has complained Runmei, Robin, or Sparkle is squishy because of that 5-star stats difference. The base HP makes a very huge difference in Honkai Star Rail for categories of Harmony and Nihility especially.
I think that's a very interesting point, and I've actually never thought of that in my entire life. 5-star units with 5-star stats. I've legitimately never ever considered it when it comes to like team building or whatever in my entire life. Pretty interesting point. So Jiao has a 5-star ability because he has 5-star stats. He's like less squishy, so he runs less chances of dying, especially if you're running a Huan sustain. Interesting point.
Next up,
I wouldn't say this makes him a top 5 characters though. Okay, legit rank 1 Hoshu by the way. Rank 1 Hoshu by the way. If you don't have Acheron, don't prove Jiao. Like I just don't think it's worth it at all. Right? So if you want to build DOT, objectively Robin/Rame just does it way better. If you already are running Robin/Rame, Jiao can't really replace either Kafka or Black Sword. If you take out Kafka, you can't trigger Arcana. Arcana damage falls off a fucking cliff. If you take out Black Swan, you lose the defense shred, and Arcana's damage is just so fucking high. Jiao's 180% multiplier is just way too low. So Kafka triggering Jiao's multiplier doesn't make sense unless you're E2 Jiao, right? So aside from this specific setup with like E2 Jiao, there's just no role where I would ever recommend players pull for Jiao unless you run Acheron. Acheron with Jiao is really, really good at E0 especially, right? E0, E2, Jiao is just super good with Acheron. So yeah. Rank 4, Huan, EB, so that's really good.
Not on, is she on banner? No, now it's a Sparkle banner. So Ho is not on banner right now, she just passed, but she's also another solid character that I think is very strong.
Jiao is at least above average in every team versatile. I would never run Jiao in like a hyper carry or a follow-up. Because there's just way better options. Like for example, if you already have Rami and Robin, I would never run Jiao in like a hyper carry in Lune. Or I would never run Jiao in a Topaz Doctor ratio Jiao and take out Robin. It just doesn't work. Maybe you could make it work, but I think it's just a lot worse to the point where I might just prove Robin. This spot should have been given to Robin. I'll change this too. That's it.
She grew on me over time. She can be fit into most team compositions because of the amount of attack buffing she provides. She's like a pseudo harmony. She provides energy for the rest of the team, helps push them forward. She cleanses, she heals tons of amount. Very solid character. And I find that I fit her into a lot of team compositions. I even play with like Acheron teams, even though I don't get the energy from
Docron.
The amount of buffing she provides for the rest of the team just offers so much value that it's too hard to ignore. I think Ho is probably my favorite out of all of them.
Oh my god, and there it is. Huan is his favorite out of all of them. And there it is.
And the last one is definitely not Aventrine. Why is Aventrine not part of this too? I thought about it very long and hard. But I think Aventrine generally outperforms in teams where you actually need an imaginary damage dealer to tackle the enemy. Where the enemy is resistant to imaginary, Aventrine is like good, but he doesn't offer you as much versatility as a character like Ho or the amount of protection and the amount of utility that a character like Fu Xuan offers. Because you do not protect. And characters that want to lose HP, for example, like Blade, you can still get by with Fu Xuan.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, you never run Aventrine with Blade or Jingliu. By the way, he can't heal. So the fucking health drain, it will seep through the health, seep through the shield. So your Jingliu will just slowly die. Never ever run that, right? So
whereas Aventrine, you block out those teams because of that thick shield. Something to think about. You cancel off like one team composition because of that thick shield for the HP decay teams. Last but not least, of course, this is Kafka. Kafka is not only one of the characters that I think is very strong, she has been for the longest period of time. And the fundamental thing about Kafka is not because she's a DOT damage dealer, but she goes against the true weakness of DOT teams. I mentioned it a bit already.
That's fair,
what are DOT teams' weakness? If your enemy is broken, you have a weakness extension like Ranmei, or you have a character that slows them to oblivion like Welt, your DOT teams...
Oh my god, I still remember that day. Gaja Smack went sustained Welt with his DOT Kafka. Almost died in game.
Will do no damage because the enemy doesn't move at all. Kafka mitigates this, and if Hoyoverse tries to power creep your team because they add in slow characters that never move, so DOT can't move, Kafka pops them with a skill instantly, and all the damage is being proc, a certain percentage of it. So she counters the weakness of DOT teams and the fundamental flaw of DOT teams, which I think in itself is something to be commended on, and it will likely last a long period of time. If you're a DOT player, Kafka is a hitch to anything.
And that is the key point. I think nothing wrong with this, but the key phrase is if you are a DOT player. If you are not a DOT player, fuck Kafka. In game, right? You really don't need her. You don't play DOT. And we have a lot of options. We have follow-up. Technically, it's just follow-up, hyper carry, and super break. And between investing in DOT or investing in Firefly and her super break, me personally, I would go with Firefly. Key reason, Harmony MC is free, Gallagher is a 4-star, Rame, everybody should be getting her. So super break as a team comp, it is just always gonna be there. That's just me personally. I think other than this, I think the list doesn't really have I think
Hoyoverse might try to throw at you funnily in the long run. And that's the reasons why I think these guys are my top 5 characters.
Okay, I think this list is fine for the most part. This is just his prep. I think EOD gamer really likes playing DOT. I think that's completely valid. You pretty much probably want to always run a DOT pop. So Kava is always going to be here. When is chill, Rame, Adventure versus Fusion, it is what it is. Rame is Rame. The only difference I would change is just swapping out Jiao Qiu for Robin. This is the only thing I kind of heavily disagree with. I think Robin is really call me a Robin salesman because I am a Robin salesman. This bitch is so fucking good, and it is criminal how people think she's only good with follow-up team. She's not, right? She is her. That's pretty much it, right? So that is my only big change. Other than that, it's just up to
We talked about a lot of the other characters on this list. And as usual, DPS characters tend to be the ones that are not in this list. This is my personal top 5. I would like to hear your top 5 as well.
And I just did.
In the comments below. But, at this point, if you're watching this video, I highly recommend you check out these 2 content. One is, of course, the 8 teams of Honkai Star Rail, where we dive more in depth into the theory of the 8 different teams to help you build a wider account. The other one here, I think is going to...
Okay, I think this is pretty much right. So, excellent video, but EOD Gamer, very thought-provoking, very interesting insights. Very cool discussion. Leave your comments down below on what you guys think of this content. So that's gonna be that. Word of the day is gonna be Rise Up. There it is, right? So join Discord, join Twitch, join YouTube. All the best for your gacha pools, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.